Mr. Alistair Burt. Thank you so much for joining us. First, I would like to start from that. How do you see or how do you evaluate the recent developments in the region?
Recent developments are extremely concerning, and the risk of conflicts in the region intensifying and affecting more people is obviously very great. What my experience over the years taught me was that conflict usually resolves very little unless the root causes of conflict are dealt with. Almost always the victims of conflict are the same. They're the innocent people, women and children, who suffer from conflict more than anyone else. And so recent developments have been very worrying. I know my friends in the United Kingdom, I no longer work for the United Kingdom government, but my friends are very keen that the escalation we saw over the last week or so in relation to Iran and Israel should be lowered. But we should not forget the central issue of Gaza, the need to bring an end to the conflict, for the hostages to be released, and for there to be a political settlement involving justice for the Palestinians as well as security for Israel. Those are the things that we should concentrate on, and we should make sure that the conflict does not get worse, because it will only engulf all innocent citizens once again. And Iraq has suffered too much itself to know what that is like.
Very well. As you know, after the 7th October, the whole region never get stability after that. And you know that Iraq and including Kurdistan region are a part of this region. How they can avoid this situation?
The region has suffered a great deal, and the people of Kurdistan has suffered a great deal. All their experience is through the pain of conflict. What they can do is add to the international pressure on the main protagonists, on Israel, on Iran, and those who are involved in the conflict in Gaza, Hamas, for their actions on October the 7th, to impress upon them all that there is no resolution without a political resolution to end the situation of conflict between them. Otherwise, there will be a risk of those being engulfed. This region has been targeted before by militias operating from others in order to pick targets in the region. Soleimani has been affected. None of this is helpful, and none of this ends anything. I think people want to see an end to conflict. It will only come through politics, and political leaders here have a good voice because of their experience to encourage others to make those political breakthroughs in the region.
Just it was 2 months ago when there was attacks everywhere by the outlaw groups, especially in Iraq. But you know, after that, the Prime Minister of Kurdistan region visited America, and now Mohammed Shia Sudani is in America, and there seems to be a ceasefire by those groups. Do you think that the situation, especially in Iraq, will go on like this, or something else will happen?
You would like to believe that a situation of peace suits people more than conflict. Those who triggered the actors who caused incidents here, they have to be persuaded not to do so. So those who supply the militias, those who support the militias, they have to be part of the solution to ending the conflict. And again, the voices of those who have suffered should be very strong. This region will do very well. It's got good people. Universities. This is a cultural capital. I'm in Suleimania. Too many people in the Middle East don't talk about the culture and what's available. We're too busy talking about conflict and violence. Suleimania can be a lesson of what can be achieved. And I hope regional leaders here will be encouraging others to move on the pathways of peace.
What have you seen which is different, make Kurdistan region different from other parts of the region?
Kurdistan has a strong identity. It has an identity that transcends political difficulties. Everyone in the United Kingdom political establishment is aware of the politics of the region, and we know that, as with any political groups, there are differences and debates and discussions to be had. But being Kurdish is something that everyone relates to. That's very important. And when people can find something that they can all belong to, that gives them identity, that transcends the things that are that they have that make them different, then then people have an opportunity. There is a good lesson from the Kurdish people in that.
Well, then, as my last question, let me ask you this question: how do you see the future of this region?
On the edge. The events of October the 7th were so shocking that most states in the region believe there is no going back to October the 6th. There is no going back to a false status quo, a West Bank that is occupied and is full of risk and danger, a Gaza which is badly controlled and badly run by an authoritarian group, an Israel whose politics is moving more towards expansion of its own interests into the West Bank area rather than resolving issues with the Palestinians. All these things can be dealt with, but it needs the will to do so, and it needs regional actors to be taking the lead. It's no longer up to the West. We must support those who want to see these issues brought to an end and conflict brought to an end. So the region is on the cusp. It has a great opportunity for peace and prosperity, but it must will it.
Then, is there any hopes to see the end of those tensions one day?
There is always hope. And sometimes a conflict can be so dreadful that people say, there must be something better than this. We can't go on like this. When you see the misery of people, either the families of those taken hostage or the families of Palestinian children who are killed in Gaza, every heart reaches out to them and says, this can't go on. There must be something better. We must make sure that message gets through.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking.